Now, in a special event held at Narsi Monji Institute of Management Studies, a panel of market leaders hosted by Nikunj Dalmia spoke on the implications of Indian economic growth story on global economy. Here's an excerpt of the event.
You were in a phase where, almost everybody thought that we are in a recessionary phase and very similar to 2008. But since then, things have stabilized, right? Oil has recovered from $26 to $40, almost a 40% jump since then. US economic indicators have been good. European economic indicators have been good. Just a couple of days back, Europe has announced its incremental, easing of monetary policy kind of. So the environment is going to be continuously of a risk on, risk off. As Nirmal earlier pointed out that, it's going to be, years and probably decades of constant volatility, and it's a question of adjusting within that where do you see the relative value and you look for that value over there.
I think India, where it is in the global front, it's at a very interesting point right now. You will see world over, China, it's growing, the growth rate is going down. Europe, they are facing their own challenges. And you have this India, which is a bright spot in terms of all the investors, and they are looking at this one country which is driven by a very nice consumption story. It has a very young population, so definitely a lot of right parameters, infrastructure investments to be made. So yes, investors are looking. And and you think about countries like Japan, where you have a negative interest rate. Means if you need to keep deposits with a bank, you need to pay interest to the bank. You would have never heard about this kind of a concept, right? So those kind of investors, definitely for them, India is a big story for investments.
The Indian regulators were smart enough at that point and they didn't fall into that trap. And today I think we are reaping the benefits of that. While we'll have to, the advanced markets in my view will now have to go for some real structural reforms if they want to continue the pace of growth which they saw in the 80s and 90s. So that's for them. As far as India and emerging markets are concerned, the things cannot be better for India as they are now, because by the year, today as we talk, we have 24 crores or 247 million of middle class in India. Okay, 60% of our population is, less than 25 years old. So we are in a very, very sweet spot. What we need to only take into account is one word of caution, which is a learning from the Western world, is that while we will continue to enjoy 3 to 4% premium over the world growth. Currently, we are at a 3% premium. It may go up to 4% in the near future. We need to provide for the future as well.
Okay, so we have, when we look at stocks, we have a framework which has worked really well for us in terms of stock picking, and it's called the BMV approach. So we look at business, management, and then valuations. So we believe that whenever you're looking at any company, if you start at valuations, the chances of you going wrong is pretty high. So you need to look at the business, the scalability of the business, whether the company is a market leader in the sector that it is operating in, and how you see the growth, and is it a growth leader. And so first you start with the sustainability of the business model. Second most important will be management. In a lot of companies, especially in case of mid-cap and small-cap companies, these are promoter-run companies where, taking a view on promoter group and what sort of management and corporate governance practices are being followed is extremely important. And then third comes valuations, where you look at absolute valuations, whether the company is actually generating return on equity over a structural period of time, and also, in a comparative space where the company lies within the sector and overall market. And I think this BMV approach is something that has, done really well for us in terms of stock picking, whether it's a market which is, on an up move or down move. But I think this is something that one needs to keep in mind.
I'm a little skeptical about commodity businesses which are dependent on the global. So India is doing very well. India is a shining star in the world. But where you have businesses like steel or aluminum or oil, the commodity businesses where you're dependent on the global economics, I'll be very skeptical there.
Okay, that's an interesting excerpt there. But in the news that saddened and shocked the industry, 24 years old TV actress Pratyusha Banerjee, known for her role of adult Anandi in the popular serial Balika Vadhu, allegedly committed suicide in her Mumbai flat on Friday. Pratyusha thanked herself from a fan at her Kandivali residence but detected dead when taken to Kokila Ben Ambani Hospital. And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of News First Weekend. Thanks for watching.